In Yaakov Brachot 60a. So again, we were talking about the case of Dinah, where Dinah had asked Hashem to. Well, there's actually two parts to this. One is, remember, the Gemara said that if a woman is pregnant, I'm not allowed to say, may it be a male. The only thing I can say is it should be healthy. God should make it healthy, but I can't pray for the sex. Now that's in the first 40 days. You're going to be right there. I'm telling you, you're going to be right there. Okay, so that's in the first 40 days after conception. You could daven. After 40 days and onward, it's already decided what the sex is going to be. So the Gemara said, "Wait a second. We have a I'll give you a challenge. The challenge is from the story of Leah. Leah was pregnant, and she had already had 6 boys. The other handmaidens had 2 boys apiece. Her sister Rachel didn't have any children, so she said, if I have another boy, then my sister will be like one of the handmaidens. So please, Hashem, turn this baby, make sure that this baby is a girl." Hashem does the miracle, and she has a girl, and she calls her Dinah. Based on the word "done," she gave a judgment of the case, and she was so then Rachel would be free to have two boys and tie it up, if you will, between the handmaids, and she'd be like one of them. So the Gemara says, so that's a question of the Gemara, right? The original question was, I can't ask Hashem to make this a blank after 40 days after 40 days of conception. So how could Dinah have done this? So the one answer, and it worked. So the Gemara says, "Emas kirmas nisim." You can't take heed of a miraculous incident. In other words, the proof cannot be brought from an open miracle. It was an open miracle. Hashem decided it's going to happen again. He explains, although Hashem can abrogate any law of nature at will, a person should not request of him that he do so on his behalf. The exception to this rule is to a perfectly righteous individual such as Leah. Such exalted persons may pray for miracles and have their prayers answered. However, the Mishnah teaches the law for the vast majority of people. So for us, unless we're all such tzaddikim, maybe even we are tzaddikim, we can't rely upon that, we really shouldn't daven for a boy or a girl. Now, in this particular case, by the way, what the Gemara could have said was that it was she was being very kind, and therefore Hashem listened to her. Because what was going on? Remember, she judged the case. My sister, 14 years ago, embarrassed herself and stopped me from being embarrassed and lost her husband to me. When my father tricked Yaakov and gave me to him under the guise of me being Rachel. They had a plan set up that because Yaakov knew that Lavan was a trickster, so he set up a signal with Rachel and said, "Honey, you're going to do this at the chuppah. I'll know it's you." Apparently, the veil was very thick, so they couldn't see each other, which is why today we pick up the veil before we marry the girl, so we know that we're not being tricked. That's really where that comes from. And so he didn't obviously pick up the veil in other days. So they went to the wedding. She and Rachel gave her sister the signals so that Rachel would not be, so that Leah would not be embarrassed. She's remembering this many years later. I'll get to your question. So she remembered this many years later, and that's why she's davening to Hashem. In other words, her sister had done her a tova, a good thing, and now she wants to return the favor. So even though she could have beat her totally, I mean, that would be the sound defeat. If I have 7 children, you're not even equal to the handmaidens, no matter what you do. Yaakov will love me more in that sort of a mindset. That's where she was going. She said, "No, I don't want that. I don't want to win that way. I want my sister to be at least equal to the handmaidens." Yeah. And that's why you could also say, for that's why you can't rely upon the miracle. The miracle is a miracle, so you can't use it as an argument. Yeah.
So, why do brides have veils?
Why do brides have veils?
Yeah, why is that a thing?
I could tell one thing, probably because of tzniut, of being modest.
Okay.
That's probably where it came from, the modesty. So that nobody else should look at her. I mean, she is when you're the chassan and she's a kala, you're the king and she's a queen. In the old days, not today, but in the old days, you would not look in the face of the king or the queen, because that was seen as impertinent. Who are you to look at the king's face? Who are you to look at the queen's face? So it could be for that reason that the woman would shelter her face from everybody else, besides the shine of the Shekhinah and so on and so forth that people would associate with that. So that could have been one of the reasons. But it's probably out of the real main reason is probably out of, like I said, modesty, tzniut. So you wouldn't do it.
In really strict Islamic countries, they wear the the burqas, and where their faces all the time is covered too.
Okay. Okay, and it's probably
for that reason.
Probably for the same reason. It's probably tzniut. It probably is, and it could also, by the way, it could come from that too. It could come from the culture that's how they were walking around, and we just brought that culture to Western culture and said it's a nice custom. But today our veils are very sheer. So you really do see, normally you're going to see the woman. And the only times you don't see the woman's face is if you go to a Hasidic wedding. They still have the challah cover. I don't know how the women see out from there. They must have, I have no idea. Maybe they don't see out.
It comes all the way around, you mean?
Oh yeah, but it's thick. You can't see anything. You just can't see anything. But there's like a challah cover over their head. That's what I remember that. But amongst the other weddings, they don't look like that. Like I said, they're sheer. Yeah. If you go to an American wedding, they're all sheer.
Yeah.
And yet they all do it. They all have the veil over their head, and they take it off. And you take the veil off at the wedding. When do you take the veil? When do you lift it?
I think after he steps on the glass.
No. I'm talking about for the goyim.
Oh,
for the goyim, they also have a veil.
They do?
Yeah, the veil. Everybody's a veil. You see it on TV all the time. They have a veil. But it's but I don't know when they take it up. I'm not sure. You have to ask the non-Jews when they take it off. But we don't take it off till after the wedding. We take it off right after the wedding, because you have to walk.
When they're marching back down.
Right, you have to walk already. Right. Yep.
If she's only veiled, so what I call.
By the way, I don't know if that's from the Hasidim. I don't know.
When after the the first part where the mothers break the plate, and
there's no veil at that point.
Yeah, at that point when it marks the chassan in, then he veils her down, right?
Correct.
The father doesn't remember now.
No. The chassan veils her. Chassan puts the veil over her head.
Okay.
Basically, sing your mind. Yeah. And Rabbi Tender said that is her point of acquiescence. That, in other words, when does a woman say "I do," as it were, at that particular juncture? Why? What's his proof? Because no woman would allow you to put a shmata over her head if she didn't want to marry you.
Yeah.
So that was. I remember he said that many, many years ago. But I don't know if it was a joke or not, but it sounded great. I loved it when he said it. Okay, next. So what happened was, another answer that the Gemara gives, I'll give you another answer. You don't like the fact that we can't rely upon a miracle after all has happened. So the Gemara says, I'll tell you that the incident involving Leah was within 40 years of her pregnancy. 40 days of her pregnancy. That's what you're asking on? Okay. So it was in the 40 days. So if it's in the 40 days, we already said that you could daven within the 40 days, and that's for anybody. So you're not really. So then, if that's the case, you're not really learning anything from this case, right? It's not a contradiction. It's just a verification that during the 40 days you can do it. Kidatanya, like we learned in a Braita, Shloshim Yamim Rishon, in the first 3 days after relations, Yivakesh Adam Rachamim Shalo Yisriach. A man should request heavenly mercy that his seed should not putrefy, in other words, that it should be able to impregnate the woman. Mishlosha v'yad arba'im. And from 3 days until 40 days, he should request mercy that the embryo develop into a male fetus. And again, that's if the parents desire a boy. This is the appropriate period to pray for one. Similarly, if they desire a girl, their prayer should be said at this time as well. So it depends on what you want. Now, why would people want boys versus girls? You have to marry off a girl, inheritance. You want workers. I mean, let's face it, we need workers in the world. So the girls were the weavers, they were the sewers, but I want people to help me on the farm. Yeah. So it's going to make sense. I also want people that are going to be able to take care of the family. So I need boys, inheritance. I want my inheritance. I want my land to stay within my family. So if I have a girl, she gets married, well, then that land will go to, if I only have girls, then that land goes to the husband, ultimately. Because that's why he's marrying her. He's marrying her, and if he outlives her, so he inherits the land. So the land now leaves my property, my family. So I really want boys for all those reasons. And as far as you have to marry either one of them off, by the way. You have to marry off boy and girl.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be hard to marry off a girl or easier.
Is it hard to marry? Why is it hard to marry? If I'm paying you money, you'll take my girl. I mean, that's how it worked. We had to pay, like anything. You have to give a dowry. The boy has to give something. The girl has to give something. It's a business deal. So it wasn't like it is today, where I go on a date, 5 and 10 dates, go to the movies, go sit in the hotel lobbies, whatever they do. And you're going out, and then you decide. No, in those days it was pretty clear. It was a good family, and you could stand each other's looks. Fine, great. That's all you need to do. You didn't have to. There was no such thing as "I love you." There was no such thing. It would be insanity. It's true. It's insanity today. Okay, you don't love the girl. You lust the girl. That's all you do until you marry her and you're living with them as husband and wife. You don't know the person. Either way, you don't know the person. When you meet them, when you're living with them, suddenly you see how they put the toilet paper into the roller. And if it agrees with you or not, you see if they leave the cap on the toothpaste, whether you like it or not. You see they learn, depending on who's cooking these days, you find out if they can listen to what you want, or if they want to please you, or they just like to do what they want. It comes to the house, everything else. You understand what I'm saying? You don't know the person until you live with the person. Right. And you only grow to love the person when you with the person. Otherwise, you just lust the person. That's all there is. There's nothing. Am I right or wrong? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Someone back in the old days,
way back to 100 years ago. Right. Not that way back, by the way. Right. Maybe 100 years ago.
All right. So that far back, over far back, that's what having marrying off to people. So for the boy, what's the process for marrying off a boy? Is it just he goes and finds someone, or they find someone for him, and then just is it the same?
It's the same thing. In other words, I have a family. I have a boy who's a Talmud Chacham or is a good worker, or whatever the case is. So I'm going to find a girl that will complement him, and hopefully bring some money into the marriage. And they'll have children. Again, my main thing is to have grandchildren and to carry on the name. So what I want to do is make a good shidduch. I want to know the family, and the odds are, and again in those days, this is what caused a lot of divorce today, by the way, because we don't have this system. In those days, it was a very big family. Today, it's a nuclear family. So what does a nuclear family mean? I get married, and I leave my family. I'm no longer living around them. So it's just me, my wife, and the kids. My brother and sister are wherever they are. My parents are wherever they are, and we're all over the place. As a result, when we have a fight, there's nobody to go to. The family unit isn't there to support, to say, everybody has fights, everybody does this, don't worry about it, you make up, and there's no pressure like that. So as a result, there's a major breakup of marriage today. I mean, was it over 60%? I think
Overall,
50,
in general society?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
over 67% is you have a little fight, you don't like each other, you have and now they don't want to call it divorce anymore. Now amongst the stars they call it a delinking or whatever the Mr. Goss was for that. Unlinking. I heard this. I was like, you people are sick. It's a divorce, leave me alone. But it's what it is, because there's nobody there to be the buffer zone anymore. So now you're on your own. If you're on your own, it's very hard to always remember that things are happening. That, there's a life before this and after that. So, and you're going to have fights. I mean, whoever walks into a marriage thinking they're never going to have a disagreement is the biggest fool in the world. Again, you're putting two different worlds together who came up totally different, and you're smashing them together and saying, make a unit. You better realize there's going to be a disagreement, and you have to have ways to deal with that disagreement. Now the problem again is you come from your parents, she comes from her parents, and depending on how her parents decided to solve a case versus your parents, well, now can you bring those two together? And again, that's a melding of worlds. You have to move with that stuff. You really have to develop that relationship, and that's what I'm saying. That's what's going on here. That's what I'm saying. It was till maybe 100 years ago. We never used to move from our parents.
Nope.
But in the meantime, before they married, before they're working, that's what's happening. That's why
The boy?
That's why people want boys.
Yeah, the boy was working. The boy was learning. It could have been whatever. I mean, it could have been anything, depending on how rich you were.
Even after you married, if you had like a homestead, they would
Right.
just go into that corner of the field,
Right.
and they still work on the farm.
Correct.
Right.
Right. That's the thing. You would move away. That's why Walton's Mountain. There's a movie. It was a TV show. But the Walton's Mountain. That was the point. They all lived on the mountainside. They all lived in that area. And again, if you think about it, most people in how many years ago? 100 years ago? I think after that we all started to move. We were very, very mobile at that point.
So once you had the automobile, you had the telephone.
Right. But in the old days, Andy Griffith days, people didn't leave Mayberry.
That's 50 years ago.
50 years ago, good. So even 50 years ago, people
Sure.
didn't leave.
It was,
That's what it was. So they grew up in the town and they went. But again, that was when you had more than nuclear family. You had a very big family.
Yeah.
So that could help you shelter, and that's why divorce wasn't as much. Now today, I'm not saying you had divorce. The Torah recognizes divorce. And sometimes you have to get a divorce. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But in general, just because she burned my eggs doesn't give a real reason. Or I burned her eggs. Or I didn't do the laundry. I didn't take the garbage out. Whatever I didn't do or she didn't do, it doesn't make for a divorce. Okay? That's what we're saying here. How we get into that?
I was
Talking about the
Oh, the bride. The should have.
yeah.
The easy versus the difficult. I thought the daughter would be more difficult to marry off than the son.
No, the daughter again. By the way, if she is a good house maker, she knows how to take care of the house. What do you call it? Home economics. There you go. Whatever you want to call that. If she could take care of the house, she was a good cook and so on and so forth. She was a commodity. You want somebody to be able to, was good with kids. That's why in the frum world, what Baruch Hashem, people have a lot of kids. But the biggest thing is the oldest take care of the youngest. So by the time that they're ready to get married, they've held a lot of babies. It's not the first baby in the world that they're seeing when they produce. And so they have a lot of experience. You want that as a father. You want the wife to be prepared to know how to change diapers, because you don't know how. You probably never did. The father was in the yeshiva or again working, whatever role the guy played. It wasn't changing diapers. The women were. So you want somebody who's going to be able to take care of those situations, who knows how to take care of the house, who's the manager. I mean, if we, the old joke is, if we would break down what a woman did in those days, even today, a housewife, if you would break that down, then you couldn't afford to pay a person to do everything your wife is doing. You couldn't afford it. She's a chauffeur. She's a psychologist. She's a medical professional. Takes care of the sick kids. She's the chef. She's a sous chef. She does everything.
Business manager.
I mean, when you break down how to run a house, you think, oh, my wife's just sitting home eating bonbons. You're an idiot. I can't help you. I'm sorry. You're just an idiot. A house doesn't. It takes time to run a house, to get the laundry, to get the shopping. Remember, we walk in, we open our cabinets. There's food there. Oh, good. We take the food. How did it get there? Somebody had to bring it. It wasn't God said, oh, I'm giving you man. Even man we had to go out about 10 for. Okay? But here you have to figure out what you need. And the portion control and so on and so forth. That was a housewife. That is a housewife, by the way. Well, now you want to call it whatever you want to call it. Management, I don't care what you want to call it. But that is profession. And what the women liberals did was they said, oh, you're trained to a sink. Are you an idiot? This is an important job. Well, that's what allowed me to go out to make a living, so that I could give you food so you could take care of the kids, because that's how society made it. We have two different things. Now, if a woman can go out and make more money than the man, so then the man's an idiot to say to the woman, no, you have to stay home. Go out, make more money. I'll take care of it. But again, when you do that, you find out how much effort you have to put into keeping a house. It's not so easy. And again, the kids and people get sick. You have to take care of all that. So, like I said, you want the woman who has experience. And so if she's brought up in the lap of luxury, she may have a harder time getting married, except now she's going to pay more money. Right. Her father will pay more money to the chassan who is doing whatever he's doing. And that, by the way, that guy may marry his daughter off to a Talmud Chacham, because that's a good thing to do. But he knows that he has to support the guy for his rest of his life, because the guy can't make him money. Talmud Chacham he's not going out there making money, he's learning Torah. So, that's that. You have two sides to that. Okay. And not everybody's a Talmud Chacham either, so you have to figure out who is a Talmud Chacham. Okay, so it says, right. And then me'arba'im yom, so from 40 days. V'yad shlosha chadashim, from 40 days until 3 months. Yevakes rachim shelo yeh sandal. You should request Hashem that it should not become a sandal. What is this? A sandal? He should pray. He explains that, and he should pray that his wife should now conceive another embryo that would distort the features of this one. The Gemara explains that the sandal resembles the ocean fish called sandal. A sandal begins as a normal fetus, but it becomes crushed in the womb by the pressure of its twin against it. The sandal has facial features, but they may be to its rear, similar to a person whose friend came along and slapped his cheek, causing him to turn his head toward his back. So in other words, we have deformities. That's what it's talking about.
Well, in the case of twins, is that twins?
No, sometimes.
If you're pregnant, how do you get pregnant again? Is that, I don't understand what they say.
It's, how could you get? And there was two.
If a woman's already pregnant, she's not, what do you call it, ovulating anymore. She's not putting out any more. If they're not twins,
right?
I mean, once there's an embryo that's growing,
it could be that you had 2 eggs,
and they started at different times. Is that what it's saying?
It could be. I'm not sure about what the medical science would be behind that. Wow. But apparently, let's say it's within 3 days, your the seed can do something. So it could, let's say there's, how many eggs are there? There's only one egg?
Normally just one. Yeah,
Okay.
normally.
But two
the standard
two sperm can get into one egg.
Identical twins, so it splits.
Right.
But it could be if two eggs came out and they both got, what do you call it, fertilized.
Right.
So then you have, what do they call it, the fraternal twins.
Okay, so it could be that.
Is that what he's talking about?
Could be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sure. But the point is there's pressure. So the point, what we're looking at is birth defects.
Okay.
Really, that's what you're looking at, and without getting into fancy science, because I'm not sure how all this would work, but they're following the gemara nida, so who knows? Apparently, they had kids who came out like this.
Yeah, sure.
So they're trying to figure out. So that you're praying that I shouldn't have that. Mishlosha chadashim ad shisha, from 3 months until 6 months. Yivakesh rachim shalehi nefil. So you're requesting Hashem that it should not be a non-viable fetus. A nefil is a fetus that won't last. And v'shisha v'yad tisha, from 6 months until 9 months. You can request mercy that it should emerge safely. The point is, along the way, you have to change your prayer. You can't keep saying health, health. Oh, well, you could always say health, but you can't say it should be this, should be that. There's times that it's already decided. So, or yet it's in the midst of decision. So there you can daven for that because it's not yet done. The point is, as long as it's not yet done, I can pray for it. Okay? Yeah. So that he says, thus, it's possible that Leah prayed that she should give birth to a female while the embryo's gender was as yet undetermined during the first 40 days. The Gemara says, Mi mahani rachame, but is prayer efficacious? Does prayer really help during the first 40 days? Can't be. Why? For Amar Rav Yitzchak bereid Rav Ami, for Rav Yitzchak said the name of Rav Ami, Ish Mazriya Techila, if the man, and now this again, I'm not going to be able to explain to you in a normal way. Just take the word for the Gemara if you don't mind. Yeah. If the man emits seed first, Yoledet Nekeva, she bears a female. Isha Mazra'at Techila, if a woman emits seed first, Yoledet Zachar, a male will be born. Isha, why do we know? Because the Torah says, Isha ki tazriya v'yelda zachar, when a woman emits seed and bears a male, etc. Thus, the gender of the embryo is determined at the conception by who emits seed first. Now, again, what is the seed we're talking about? I have no idea. In other words, are we talking about orgasm? Are we talking about, and that would be a seed. So what are we talking about?
Is he talking about maybe if the ovulation occurs and the egg from the female is coming down already, and then you get the male counterpart going in, or maybe then the other way around. In other words, where the female's egg would be coming down, and then the sperm would come in. Maybe they're saying if it happens the other way around, where you got the sperm in there first, and then the egg comes down. Maybe he's saying that's what.
Okay.
One then the other. Is that what he said? One this one first, or that one first? So maybe that's
again, whoever gives seed first. That's what the Gemara is saying.
Okay, so maybe that's what it is.
He says here, in the view of the sages, it is not only the male who emits seed during intercourse, but the female as well. Her seed derives from a concentration and distillation of uterine blood inside her womb, as the Gemara says in Nida. There are 3 partners in the creation of a person: the mother who seeds the red substance, etc. Thus, we say that if a woman emits her seed before the man emits his, the male child will result. If she emits her seed after he emits his, a female child will result. And so that's, again, what are we exactly talking about? I don't know. Doctors, I was talking to...
Y chromosome, I forget.
No, you're going too far already. Yeah. You're going too far. So, exactly. So I asked a doctor about this, and they said to me, no.
Really?
It's a 50-50 shot. Okay. So, in other words, but again, when we look at these Gemaras, I have to be quite straight here. When we look at these Gemaras, we don't know what they're talking about.
I may be wrong, but it seems like I remember a long time ago hearing this not not from a halachic standpoint,
Right.
but just from a medical standpoint. I think, if I remember correctly, again, that the woman's egg is the same for all genders. It's the sperm. One is going to, if it fertilizes, is going to create a male, and if a different one with a different makeup, that's the X and the Y.
Yeah, fine.
And depending upon, again, the exact time when the intercourse occurs, depending on where that egg is and which sperm is swimming faster. I seem to remember hearing that a long time ago.
I'm not arguing
If you
anything
know
you're
the
saying.
timing, which you usually don't.
Right.
You know,
Like I said, the way people have taken it for a long time is orgasm. So if you get if the woman would orgasm first, then you'll have a male. Otherwise, not. So that's what the medical science is saying. No,
interesting.
they're denying that. Now I'm not sure how you can know one way or another because you'd have to. There's a lot of variables. I'm going to leave it to you guys because you know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of variables to that statement. So, you have to figure out what's going on and when the actual conception took place. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not sure what's right, what's wrong with that. But again, the Gemara says what it says.
There might, again, if science could figure that out, there could be where that could be interpreted as being absolutely correct. There's just no way to really substantiate or prove it, I guess.
Correct. So you just take the statement for what it is. But the point of this Gemara is, wait a second. You said prayer helps, but it can't be because it's already determined. Did she emit seed first or not? It's a simple scientific. Again. Now let's go back to their world. It's a simple scientific statement. If she emits seed first, it's a male. If he emits seed first, it's a female. So how could prayer change that? That's a question. Okay? Yeah. That's really the question. So the Gemara says, what are we dealing with here? What we're dealing here is when both man and woman emitted their seed simultaneously. They went at the same time. So therefore, since one cannot be certain who emitted seed first, one may always pray for a particular gender within 40 days. For perhaps they emitted their seed at the same time. There you go. So, again, what are we talking about? God will only God at this point knows, because I'm not sure what they're talking about. But that's how, by the way, again, what happens in these Gemaras is we get stuck in the what?
The weeds, Nick.
Right. We get stuck in the weed, as it were, and we forget what the real argument was, and we go off on it. I like your expression, we get stuck in the weeds. Because really we're looking, well, how could a rabbi say it? And again, forget what they said for a second and follow the argument. You said prayer helps. How can it help when it's a scientific fact that if she goes first, if she has seed first, then it's the male. If he goes seed first, then it's the female. How do you know that? Because you have a pasuk that says, Isha ki tishrev yelda zachar, that when a woman gives first seed, she will give birth to a male. You have a pasuk, so the pasuk is the verse is a verse. Leave me alone. That's how they're basing that. So once you have that, so prayer shouldn't mean anything. Prayer means something when you both gave seed, simultaneously gave seed. So now, because there's a question, what does simultaneously mean? But there's a question, so now I can put my tefillah in, and I can ask Hashem for the for a male. Okay? You understand? That's how the Gemara is working. So like I said, we get stuck in the weeds. It's fun to be in the weeds. It's a lot of fun because what do they mean? What's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. I know people who did it. And you can start making all these statements, but we have to follow the logic of the argument. And we'll have to stop there. You have any questions?
Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
I think there is what I was... because we had the two girls, and I think we asked the doctor, how can we have a boy? And it seems to me that he said, or we read that